Hello, everyone. I am so sorry to just be a little bit late this morning. I am really looking forward to sharing with you some concepts on three specific areas that I hear from advisors all the time. As you may or may not know, I'm Julie McNeely. I'm with Juli McNeely Consulting, and I have found that these three things seem to be the constant topics that people want to talk about when I'm doing any kind of coaching or consulting with them regarding their financial services business. I think some of these concepts could actually work across other industries, not just in financial services as well. So let's get started. We're going to spend about 10 minutes on three different topics. And then once we do that, we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. You will see on the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A section. You feel free to go ahead and type those questions in there. I've got Tim helping me out to keep an eye on those questions to make sure we try to answer as many questions as possible today. We will also have an opportunity, if we don't get to your questions, for you to follow up and connect up with me at another time. So let's get started. One of the biggest things that I typically find myself talking to advisors about is how do we find time to do everything? We all live busy lives. We all have absolutely way too much on our plate most days, myself included. And so, one of the things that I did several years back, and it seemed to be a game changer for me, is I did time blocking. One of the things that draws us to this industry or to this career choice is the fact that we have flexibility. We have the ability to sort of float between personal life and professional life as needed. And I think that's one of the most attractive things about being a financial advisor and being in control of your own schedule. The same would apply for someone who does real estate or any other sort of self-employed type profession. The problem is finding time to get it all done. And sometimes those demands can feel a little bit daunting. So you've probably all heard Stephen Covey's concept of start with the big rocks first. But if you recall, there are certainly tendencies that we all have to start just pouring all the things we need to do into the list or into the bucket, and we don't have room for the big things. So his concept is, instead of putting all the little rocks in first and then trying to cram in the big stuff, is to really start with those big rocks first. That's what time blocking is all about. What I want you to do is to think about your schedule and what you do and what has to be done every day. And that can include, all of the things like, calling clients and setting appointments, meeting with clients, your kid's soccer game. All of that is truly important to you and your ongoing happiness. So we need to make sure that we got time to get it all in there. So Tim is going to pop up into the screen a handout that I have just put together to just help you start to figure out what those focus tasks are. So what I'd like you to do is right now just take out a piece of paper. This sheet that he's going to put in the chat for you will help you do this. But for right now, you don't need to take time to open that. Just take a second and really think about the things that are super critical for you to get done. I'll tell you what's on my list. Family time. I definitely want to make sure that I get to kids and grandkids events. And so that's kind of a critical thing for me. I want to make sure I get that on. And so I want to focus on that. Client calls. That's another really big one for me. I want to make sure that every week I have time to make proactive outbound calls to clients. Really important to me in order for me to meet my goals. The third area is case prep. So I need focused time to work on cases that are coming in the near future for appointments. And so I need that time to make sure that I have no distractions and I can focus on my clients that I'm working on during that time block. And the fourth area that I have on my list is also working on my business. So I have, for my McNeely Financial Services, for my business, I actually have a block every week where I can put all of the tasks that need to be done in order to keep my business working well in that spot, and so that I can have a minute or an hour in my case to focus on that and not have it be something that just constantly gets put to the bottom of the to-do list. And then the last area I have as focus time is the time that I do consulting, these kinds of events. So what I do once I've identified what those blocks of times are, those focus times, I then identify how much time do I need each week to make sure that that helps me reach the goals that I've set out for myself. So what is the focus time? How much time do you need each week to accomplish the goals that you've set? Then the third question you ask is, when is the best time of the week to block that? Is it best on Friday mornings? Is it best on Monday afternoons? If you're making calls out to clients, is the best time to do that in the evening? Whatever works for that time block, make sure that you put down the best time to do it. And then you take that information and you plug it into your calendar. Now, I have in my CRM the ability to sort of block out time for the entire year. So I can say every Monday from 9 in the morning till 10 in the morning, I want you to block that for my case prep time. And it will automatically do it for the entire year. I also have the ability to do it in a different color, which I use because I want my staff, my team members to know that this is focus time for me. This means you can't knock on the door and interrupt me. You need to make sure that you let me be focused during that time slot. I always make a joke with my team and say, you either need to be bleeding or someone is seriously injured or dying for me to be interrupted, because that is truly focused time. It can't be something that you get distracted. Once you get someone interrupting you, it's hard not to take several minutes to sort of get refocused on whatever you're working on. So that is the process of time blocking. It is simply identifying those big rocks, just like Stephen Covey said, and then put those in that bucket of time that you have for the day first. Block them in, and in my case, it's for the week. So the week I have to take those. Terribly sorry, I lost my internet connection there. So sorry. Okay, I will do my best to pick up where I left off. So as I was saying, make sure that you put those big blocks or rocks in that bucket first. Once you do that, then you can fill in all the other tasks that have to get done as well. Okay, so that is the first item that we typically have people that are trying to focus their time. That is the first item that we typically have people having struggles with, is trying to figure that out. You know, I talk to young families often, and you know, one of the things that they struggle with the most is finding time to make all those soccer games or concerts. And if you just schedule those in advance, they can be worked around. It is absolutely possible to get it all accomplished. Okay, let's move on to the second topic that I often find as an issue. And this is the difficult one of when to hire a team member, when to grow your staff. And so I want to spend just a few minutes on that, because I think that one of the best things you can do for yourself is to truly focus on what you're good at, what you're great at, and delegate all of the other things. When you get that first pass done, then you can next say, okay, what are revenue producing tasks? That's what you need to be focusing on. They're great at them and they're revenue producing. And as you start to grow your team, you'll find that by doing that, you're suddenly finding more and more and more success, because if you truly focus on what you're good at, you won't have to worry about your time being wasted on tasks that could be done by someone else. So I'm going to give you another tool here. I call this the What I Do evaluation. I talk to people all the time that are really trying to figure out when they should hire a team member. And so if you're sitting there right now and you don't have any staff, or you have one person and you're finding that you're not getting everything accomplished in the day, then you may want to run through this exercise. I actually try to do it on an annual basis because it really helps me remember that I need to focus my efforts. So the what I do evaluation is so simple. Tim's going to pop it up in the chat as well. But I want you to take a second and really, truly think about, what do you absolutely love to do? What wakes you up in the morning and you think, oh my gosh, I get to do that today? For me, it is my time that I get to spend in front of clients. That time to me is just absolutely why I have chosen to be a financial advisor. It doesn't feel like work to me. It's also something that it energizes me. I feel this passion. I have this deep connection with my clients. That right there alone, if I could just do that every day, I would be so happy. I have a few other things on that list, but for me, primarily relationship building, client building, working on cases and trying to figure out how to lead the client down their path of success and in their financial life. That's what I love to do. It also happens to be, for me, revenue producing. So I want you to do a bit of a brain dump on this exercise. I want you to take a second and think about all of the things that you do that you absolutely love to do. Okay. The second question that you need to ask yourself is, what do I not mind doing, but I might not need to do it because it's not necessarily income producing? We all have things that, I don't really mind doing that, but it's probably not the best use of my time because it isn't producing additional revenue for me and for the firm that you work in. This is a little bit of a tougher one because it's harder to sort of let go of those things if you really don't mind doing them. But this is the second section, and you need to spend some time putting things in that list. I'll give you an example of what's on that list for me. The financial management of my firm. I don't mind doing it. I don't mind paying the bills. I don't mind doing payroll. I don't mind even setting up and sort of watching our budget as we go throughout the year. But it's not a revenue producing task. So if it's not revenue producing, it's something I should consider handing off. And I've done that. So I have my niece, Taylor, who is a finance major in college. She's now graduated, but she has done that financial management for me for a number of years now. And I will tell you, I don't miss it at all. I eliminated it from my plate because it's not something I have to do. It's been a tremendous help for me to not have to worry about doing that, maybe for an hour or two every week. So definitely look at this section and really evaluate what it is and if it's something that should or could be delegated. The last question in the what I do exercise is much easier, in my opinion, to delegate. It's, what do I hate to do? Now, hating to do something usually makes it very easy to delegate. But we'll talk about the delegation piece in a second. So make that list. For me, an example is paperwork. As a financial advisor, we all have a ton of paperwork. It is not my favorite thing to do. It is certainly something that I like to set aside and not worry about, or I think I can try to do it, but I'm probably not the best person to do it because I'm not a detailed person. I end up missing things. I end up having to go back and do it over again because I didn't do it correctly. So go through this exercise. What I love to do, what do you not mind doing, but it might not be revenue producing. And then the last one is, what do you hate to do? Once you've done that, once you've taken the time to do that and go through that process, the bottom question is the first place you're going to look to hire to. You can hire to that list. You can build a job description for a new hire around the things that you're not good at. This is hiring to your weaknesses, hiring to the things that you don't want to do so that you can continue to focus on your strengths. So I've always told people, and I was told this many, many times, hire before you can afford someone. So if you're sitting there wondering, gosh, do I need to hire a person? Do I need to get someone in here to just sort of take some of the stuff off my list? I promise you it will help you catapult, provided that you continue to focus on those items in that first box, the what I love to do and that are also producing revenue. You will more than pay for the person that you have to pay for their salary. All right, so I just want to spend a few minutes on delegation. Delegation is not an easy thing, especially if you've been very accustomed to doing it yourself. I had a struggle with this early on in my career, but after 25 years, I've gotten a whole lot better at it. I know that sometimes it's hard to let go of things that you're capable of doing, but I promise you, you will be rewarded in the end. For me, it didn't take me long to realize that the person I hired to do the things I didn't like to do was so much better at it. We didn't have repeats. I didn't have to go back to the client because I forgot a signature, or I didn't take one of the forms I needed. They were on top of it for me because that's what they're good at. So the only way to really grow and become even more successful in this industry, and probably in most industries, is if you truly take some time to figure out what you're not good at and hire to that, so that you can continue to focus and grow on the areas that are going to produce that revenue. Okay, the last topic I want to talk about is really about segmentation. And this is, segmentation is definitely something that I believe every advisor should do. It is also something that pretty much anybody who's in any kind of sales role should also do. So segmentation for me was a game changer. You've all heard of the concept that, 80% of your revenue is generated by the top 20% of your clients. So we want to make sure that we're focusing on or spending time on those clients that are generating the revenue, right? That doesn't mean that there aren't a significant amount of people who need our help, and you can still help them, but you have to be mindful of how much time you're giving them in your day. So segmentation is simply just figuring out who is generating the revenue and sort of what classifications those clients are to you, so you know where to place them in the amount of time that you're going to give to them on an annual basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, whatever it is that you decide. This is a bigger topic, and I know I'm not going to be able to get through all of it, but I want to just kind of give you the way I do segmentation right now. So that's really two passes. So the first one is ABC. I think almost everybody knows that ABC D is kind of the way to segment. I think most sales professionals use some sort of system like that. For me, I'll explain. My A clients are my very top clients. They are my top clients because they generate a significant amount of revenue for our firm, or they have a lot of insurance premium brought in, or they have a lot of assets under management, and there's a revenue stream that comes as a result of that. Tim actually just popped up in the screen another helpful handout to you that will help you sort of get started on that segmentation process. So please take a minute and look at that. So I define on there sort of some lines of things that you might want to consider to define who your A clients are. For me, my A clients are an AUM of more than $500,000, or an annual life premium of more than $20,000 in premium. So that's just how I've defined it. You're going to define yours differently. So an A client then will get a certain amount of my time. They will get a certain amount of my resources. They certainly will get paid attention to. Not that all of my clients don't get paid attention to, but if they call, I immediately try to call them back, because I've promised to them, I've committed to them that I will be a resource to them and I will be there when they need me. So those A clients for me are going to get 2 personal contacts a year, usually 1 for sure in person, sometimes 2. And the second one is typically a phone call. That annual review or that semi-annual review is something that I have told them in advance they can expect from me. We also try to have a significant number of touches. We're trying to stay in front of that client. And I believe our touches for an A client now are 20. My support team handles that piece of it. But you get to determine what that looks like for you. And that's why that form that Tim just put in the chat is very much a form that can be customized to you and what you need it to be. So A, again, our top clients, you can define that however you need to define it for your client base. B are sort of that middle tier clients, those clients that aren't quite to that A point yet. For me, my B client is at 250,000 of AUM or 10,000 to 20,000 of annual premium on life insurance. Those individuals get one contact a year. They also can get multiple touches from us, not quite as many as the A clients, but pretty close. And then we also will reach out to them if we see if there's anything else that they need to take care of in the ongoing year as it goes forward. So that's B. C clients tend to be a little less contact, and most of my C clients simply receive a letter from me saying, hey, it's time to sit down and do an annual review. If anything has changed, please give our office a call. So it leaves it a little bit on their lap to come and contact us. Those C clients are individuals who have under that 250,000 of assets under management. A lot of my C clients are those people that maybe would come in and write an IRA or Roth IRA or a simple IRA or a 529 plan for their kids. And possibly they'll grow to have more assets with me in the future or more insurance premium in the future, but they aren't going to get my ongoing time on an annual basis. The D clients, and everyone has these in their client base, these are people who have asked us not to call them anymore. We have a lot of orphans in our client base, or these are clients that I just don't want to work with any longer. Some of these individuals, we've got a personality conflict. There's something there that doesn't feel as comfortable for me. And so we've put them in that category. These individuals would potentially be someone that if they left and went to another advisor, it would be okay. So how we do when we get the ABCD segmented, we then put it in our CRM so we can easily run reports. So if I want to know all of my A clients, I can run a report for that. We further segment it down though on that, and we say our A clients are going to get 2 contacts a year. So all of my A contacts are anywhere from A1 to A6. In January, my A1s are going to get contacted. They're also going to get contacted in July, so that every 6 months I'm getting in front of them. So every A client is also labeled A1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So that every year they get contacted twice. I try to position them in the months where it's a good time to contact them. So for example, in Wisconsin, there's a lot of farmers. My farmers, I typically try to contact in January or February. They're less likely to be in the fields or super busy with outside work because it's colder here during that time. Construction is another example. I try to contact them in the winter because they're very, very busy in the summer in Wisconsin. They don't tend to have significant work schedules in the winter. It's just too cold for them to be outside working on the construction sites. So use that A1 through 6 system to sort of pinpoint when's a good time. Some people use the annual premium, the notice or the time that their premium is due on their life insurance in order to segment as to what month they're going to be contacted. My B clients are labeled in addition B1 through 12. They're going to get contacted once a year. So therefore my B3 clients will get called in March, for example. That's just the way I do it. Excuse me. The C clients also get 1 through 12, or they're C with a letter and they don't have a monthly ranking on them. That is the first pass on how I segment my clients. The second pass, and I'll really be brief on this, is what we call our GAP process: growth, active, and passive. And that's also on the second page of that flyer that Tim put in the chat box for you. G stands for growth. If I have a client, I don't care if they're A, B, or C, that I know there's additional growth potential, I will label them growth. I'll give you an example of that. Sometimes I have a C client who has a $30,000 Roth IRA with me, but I know that when they retire, they will have a significant 401k to roll over. That's a growth client for me. I will personally get in front of that client annually to make sure that I stay in connection with them and have a relationship with them. So, excuse me. So that piece alone is an excellent place to look. If you're trying to hit those goals at the end of the year, look for those G clients, those ones that you know are going to be coming up on some sort of additional business for you to pay attention on. The A stands for active. Those are clients that you probably have most of their investments already, or have their life insurance already locked in, and they are then just someone you like to continue to work with. They are definitely going to get your attention. Oftentimes my A clients are my active clients. I've already gathered all of their assets. Excuse me, I'm going to have a little... I've talked too much today. I'm very sorry. I have all of their assets, so I've already accumulated them. I just want to stay in connection and have a great relationship with them going forward. The P stands for passive. Most of my C clients are passive. Those are individuals that will probably get a letter. They aren't necessarily going to be someone that I need to get in front of every year. Again, if my passive clients were to walk away to another advisor, it would be okay. Not that you ever want to see clients go out the door, but if they did, you know that you probably didn't have a lot of growth potential with that client. All right, so 2 passes. You're going to do A, B, C, D, and then you're also going to do GAP. And both of those are in our CRM, so that at any point in time, I could print a list of all of my growth clients. So I could immediately see which clients are ready or needing my attention or my connection. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that for right now. I don't want to take too much longer here, but I do want to see if there's any other questions that you might have. Any questions that you have. And if you take a look at the bottom, you'll see the Q&A section. Tim, do we have any questions that came in?
No questions this time, Julie.
Any questions? You can either type it in the Q&A or in the chat box. Happy to answer any questions. And if you're too shy to ask, I am going to have Tim pull up on the screen a couple slides to close with, and I'm going to give you an opportunity if you feel there's something that you would like to connect with in addition to what we just talked about here today. I'm going to get a calendar link up on the screen here, and that will allow you to click on it to schedule a 15-minute slot to have a conversation. As I said earlier, that segmentation piece is a little bit of a difficult thing to sometimes get your arms around if you've never done it before. It doesn't matter, again, what industry you're in, if you're in financial services or real estate, any kind of sales position where you really have client base that you need to access and make sure you're focusing on the people that are generating the revenue. That certainly is an exercise that you'll want to do, so you're focusing on the right people. Okay, so Tim is popping up on the screen for us. This first slide is going to give you an opportunity. There is a Calendly link. If you have additional questions, or if you really just want to dive a little bit deeper into that segmentation conversation, feel free to click on that link and also just put your name in and sign up for a time slot, and then we'll have a deeper question. I see a question just came in. How do you shift to solely focusing on what you love if you're in the beginning stages of your practice? Great question. I'm not going to lie. I'm very sorry to tell you, but in the beginning, you're probably going to have to do it all. But really pay attention to capacity. So if you get to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, I'm starting to lose that time with my family, then you really want to get serious about asking that question on what you don't like to do. Begin to build that job description as early as possible. You are probably going to be ready to hire sooner than you might think. I was fortunate when I started, I had an assistant from the beginning because my dad had an assistant. When I took over his firm, we already had a staff. But I know if you're brand new, struggling, trying to get started, and money is very, very tight, that is a leap of faith that you sometimes don't want to take. But you're going to have to really focus on the fact that the more you work on those things you're great at and that generate revenue, the more you're going to be able to generate the revenue to cover the team member that you need to hire. So in the beginning, the first year or so, you're probably going to have to do it all yourself. But if you start to find yourself working longer hours or having to take some of those other big rocks out of the bucket, then that's the time to seriously consider taking that leap of faith and hiring an assistant. Great question, though. Very good question. Okay, so that first slide, again, will give you an opportunity to get a time on my calendar so that we can set up a time to talk a little bit further about other things that you might have questions on. All right, the next slide, this is on Sisterhood of Success. This is a short-term coaching, group coaching program that I'm doing that will start again in January. This is primarily for women, but it doesn't have to be for women. The Sisterhood of Success is a 6-week journey just to try to get you to focus in on some of those things that might just give you a little bit of a boost, and so you can find more success. So you can see over on the right-hand side of the slide, we are going to be covering several things. The first session is really finding your own style, seizing the moment. We talk about tag team, which is all about building your team. The third is really building your confidence. The fourth session is called Success on Purpose. Really some tools and resources that I have used to sort of get that mindset of success going. And then the fifth session is what we call it What's Next, but there we're going to actually build a one-page business plan. We're also going to build a growth plan and hopefully get you truly focused on your goals so that you can hit 2022 with a great start and far exceed the goals that you've set for yourself. The final session is a one-on-one, 1-hour coaching session, just so that we can finish up and wrap up your business plan. I typically try to give some feedback and make sure that what you've got on your plan is really measurable and doable. And we have a little bit of a dialogue on that. So if you are interested in the Sisterhood of Success and signing up for that January slot, feel free to click on the link or pull up that link. It is on my website, www.juliemcneely.com/SOS. All right, if you want to pull up that third slide, Tim, if you want a little bit more of an individual coaching experience, this is just a little bit about why I think coaching is so important. If you don't feel like you've quite hit your full stride, and you really want to have a more personalized approach, feel free to go ahead and pull up that fourth slide, Tim. That fourth slide is going to talk a little bit about individual coaching. I would love to have a conversation, and what if you're trying to figure out if SOS will be better or individual coaching would be better, I'd be happy to talk with you about that. The individual coaching from my perspective is really just allows us to really connect and to build a relationship where I can try to help you find great success. The whole purpose of me doing this consulting business is to really see more individuals grow and stay in this industry. It's a great industry to be in. And I think that we all have to sort of help each other out to get us to that next level of success. The last slide is a little bit about team building. I've also done some coaching, group coaching sessions, keynote sessions where, or strategic planning sessions where you might have me come in and work with your whole team to sort of build and set a plan for your firm. So I will look and see, do we have any other questions? Any other questions before we wrap it up for today? All right, so I will just say thank you so much for being part of this webinar. It has been an exciting thing for me to really connect with individuals who are just starting out in this industry, some that have been doing it for a long time and want to re-energize. So I truly appreciate you being on this call today. And I am here to help. If there's anything I can do to help you find sort of that next level of success, please reach out. I'm absolutely willing to help you out. And it's obviously part of my passion as well. So thank you so much. And we will see you soon.